The Huddle.
Good to be here with you.
Good morning, Michelle. Oh, we have people interacting. I love it.
Yeah. It's bright and early. Ready for a productive week?
Very productive week. It reminds me of, most of you know, I just came back from a coaching clinic in an elite retreat, a Tom Ferry event. And his big message, one of his big messages, everyone he's talking to is telling him 4 years. We're going to have this kind of lucrative market for the agents that are running a professional business for 4 years. And his goal for everyone was to retire, or at least be able to retire if you so choose, in 4 years. That's how big the business is going to be. Kind of heady.
Well, look, everything we've been experiencing over the last 2 years is really unprecedented across the board. The market, you've got to make hay when the sun shines, as they say. And right now the sun is shining brightly. I just heard a statistic yesterday, listening to a financial news network, that all of this talk, remember there was a lot of talk, I should say, over the last 6 months about all this foreclosure ghost inventory. That's never going to happen. The average homeowner, listen to this, across the United States, the average homeowner has nearly $150,000 in equity. Average. Across the country. So, this idea that there's going to be, and I'm sure there will be a couple here and there, but this idea that there's this ghost inventory coming, that's not happening. And, interest rates, even if they go to 4% and stay there for the next year, are still historically low. And, with inflation being what it is and home values continuing to rise, if you've got buyers where you've got people wanting to sell, this is the most opportunistic market in my lifetime, dating back to 1989,
Right. Never seen anything like this.
No. So here we go.
The person who has to watch out is that incremental buyer, the client who's saying, oh, I don't know, and maybe rates are going to move. By the way, we have to have a big picture. A lot of real estate agents have been in the business 5 years. 4% is still absurdly low rate. It's half of the average.
I bought my first house in 1989, Sean. My interest rate was 8.5%, and that was a steal. That was like, I couldn't believe I got that low an interest rate.
Right.
Because
we have to start educating people on that.
Yeah.
Rates are going to go up a little bit. They need to go up a little bit.
Yeah.
But the issue is what it does to their purchasing power. So the idea of sitting on the fence, we have to be very careful.
No, because the average home, that $150,000 average equity throughout the United States, that same house is going to appreciate $70,000 this year.
Right.
Okay?
A good rule of thumb. Yeah. That housing appreciates more than inflation, which is one of the reasons why owning a home is such a great investment when we're in an inflationary period, which we are right now, without question.
Right.
But whatever inflation is, housing rises faster as a rule of thumb. So there's the official inflation rate, but most of us are seeing close to double-digit inflation when you're actually watching commodities.
Yeah.
Puts housing into double-digit as it has been the last year or so.
It's everywhere. Like, if you haven't, not to take us down a rabbit hole, but if you haven't checked your SDG&E bill this last month, you're in for a shocker when you get that sucker, let me tell you. So, yeah, everything is becoming more and more expensive, and housing is not going to become less expensive as the inventory continues to be constrained. And we've got to start educating if you're working with a buyer, this fatigue. We've talked about this. You and I have been talking about this for 6 months. We've still got to stay at it. So it's really about how you woke up today, or how you're going to look at your week and see the challenges that are in front of you, and how you think about them is really critical. Because how you think today can have a drastic impact on your success this year. How you think today, Monday, right? The 31st of January, how you think today.
There's a good question. I'm sorry, to ask yourself, what do you believe about the 2022 market that we've just entered? If anything we're saying sounds shocking, you have to ask yourself, what do you believe is going to happen? Because whatever you believe is what's going to come through to your clients.
Exactly.
So what's our belief about 2022?
You and I don't, again, not to deviate too far, but it really does boil down to one thing that just hits me like a ton of bricks every time. And it's everything in our lives that is good as it relates to everything really, including our relationships, personal, business, whatever, stems from our confidence level. Right? So how you think about the year or how you think about these challenges will always go back to your confidence in yourself and how are you ready to confront those challenges? And do you have the support around you to help you confront those challenges? And do you have the support to help you change the way you think about those challenges? That's really what will help build confidence. And I don't want to go Tony Robbins on people and all that goofy nonsense. I mean, it really is simple. You have people around you that care about you, that want to see you succeed. They could be your spouse, they could be your brother, sister, your coach, me, you, any of the sales managers, Liz to Melanie to Phil to Jeff to Brian. There are people there, when you succeed, the success of others is in direct proportion. That's the relationship you're looking for, so that when you succeed, they succeed. And let them help you get your confidence, your mindset right. Because I just think it's everything. Whatever is true about me, everything I am today comes as a result of the confidence I had to take an action step and to confront a challenge. So
I like that. Let's
preaching
confidence.
Yeah.
What do we have to do though? Do we want to confidently focus on buyers, or do we need to be constantly looking for? By the way, this whole inventory problem that we keep talking about, that's just another way to remove your own level of confidence. We sold over 7 million homes in the United States last year.
Right.
There's not an inventory problem. There's an execution problem. There's a timing problem. The homes are flying off the shelf. We got to be the ones who go out and find those listings. We have to put a focus on being that expert in our neighborhood so that we're the ones taking the unfair share of the business.
I was going to say, you being a Tom Ferry student, I love that line. Go get your unfair share, because the market's going to produce what the market's going to produce. There's nothing we can do to make it produce more or less, by the way. It's just going to be what it's going to be. And it really is about you getting your unfair share, right? So like I was listening to a podcast over the weekend too. I do that. I was washing my car and listening to, God knows, maybe it was one of the coaching podcasts that I just have a bunch of them. And this person was talking about, this negative mindset of, what would be a median price point in just about any market. So this person went to the trouble of pulling, I think it was in Virginia or the city of Chicago, those two markets, and pulled, homes for sale at like $350,000. And there were literally thousands of them. Now, they weren't single family detached necessarily. It was a townhome or a condo. Maybe it was a single family home that needed some work done. But you have to get in the market right now. And those homes are there, and those homes are here as well. So, it's all how you see the problem, or the challenge in front of you. What are you going to do? I mean, like if you think about your goals, Sean, like you and I have goals for each other, right? For ourselves, and we have goals for this goes for the. I can think of one goal I have, and I want everyone on the call. Think of one goal that you have this year that's really important to you. How are you waking up today and embracing that goal? What relationship do you have with that goal? If you've got a challenge as it relates to that goal, who are you talking to help get the guidance and nudging to help you get course corrected or think differently about it?
And to hold you accountable. Let me bring a little of the tough love to this, because we have to have a goal. But once you have the goal, you figure out the process. Hold on a second.
Yeah. There we go.
Once you have the goal, you figure out the process, the action steps, right?
Right.
And then let go of the goal. We don't control outcomes. The focus has to be on how are we consistently, passionately acting.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be big actions, right? Small, tiny little changes will have big differences at the end of the year if we're consistent in making that little change.
We acknowledge that we have a challenge and we go after it. One of my favorite shows right now is this 1886. I'm a fan of Yellowstone. I'm sure most of you guys are on this call, but I was telling Sean, for those of you, we chatted on Friday, and I told him there's an old kind of a cowboy quote that says, about how you look at a challenge, whether you're going to focus on the problem or the opportunity. And so when you hear people back in the West or places like Colorado talking about these challenges, they'll say something to the effect of, don't worry about the horse being blind, load the damn wagon. And I love that because I've never forgotten that, right? It's like, just load the wagon. You do your job. You've got to do what you've got to do to ensure that when the opportunity is ready, we're able to roll along. And that's basically what that statement's about. Don't worry about, focus on what you can do, load the wagon, right? So
I think that's when we load the wagon, I think of the top three things that's our job, Steve. And the number one is we talk to people. We talk to people we don't know. We talk to people we do know. We talk to friends and family. That's number one. The number two most important thing we do, I hope you guys are writing this down, we talk to people. I'm wondering if you can guess what the number three most important thing we do is.
Yeah.
That's it. Everything else is
context sport. It's a context sport. Got it.
It is. We got to get out there. So maybe when you wake up in the morning, you ask yourself, well, so we have a really high level of, I have to be careful the questions I ask because the agents here at Compass are already very accomplished.
Yeah.
I'm talking about small changes, but let's say last year you did 30 listings and this year you want to do 50 listings. We're going to make more business about listing. So you wake up in the morning, the first thing you're asking yourself is, what would a 50 listing per year person do today? And if you ask the question and listen, you know the answer. And that's how you become a 50 listing a year person.
Right.
Go and do what that person would do.
Yeah, because like at your conference, what Tom Ferry is saying is you have to bring an explosive energy to the table, right? If you want to leverage this market, you have to bring an explosive energy
right.
to the table now to leverage it. Yeah.
He actually asked a different question, which is also a really good one. He said, what would happen if tomorrow you woke up and learned that the DRE is going to take your license if you don't get a listing in the next 7 days? What would you do?
Oh, yeah.
You have 7 days to get a listing or you lose your license forever.
Yeah, no, it'd be all hands on deck.
I'll bet every single person on this call would find a listing.
Yeah.
And if that's true, then we should all have another listing before the end of the week.
Yeah.
That would make a great start to February.
Yeah.
So, while we're on the subject, he said something else I thought was funny. So it's a bit Tom Ferry, which means it can be a little challenging. He said, if you add 5 transactions to your total this year, 5 more than you did last year, that eliminates one agent from the business. One agent will go out of this business. And then he added, wouldn't it be fun if you could actually decide which one goes?
Yeah. Well, after the week I had dealing with a few unscrupulous agents and our agents' interactions, I can name a couple pretty easily.
Some outside agents, yeah. That's not going to get better as this market gets harder, right? There's people like us who are willing to roll up our sleeves and load the damn wagon.
Right.
There's others that don't know how to make a change, and you're going to see more shady things, and we're just going to have to stay above it.
Yeah, and trust that, again, not to take us down a rabbit hole here, Sean, but one of the best deals you should be able to do is with a fellow Compass agent. I received a wonderful email on yesterday, from an agent who was dealing with another Compass agent who I actually manage. And so I managed both these agents, and this agent was saying, gosh, I'm so worried because, if you're too transparent with someone, you have this fear of them maybe taking a client or your client trying to connect with them and yada, yada. It was just, one of those kind of conversations. I said, listen, I know this agent's going to treat you with respect and with integrity, and this isn't going to happen. Just be honest about the situation. I don't want to get into the story too much. Long story short, get the text Sunday. You're right. We're in escrow. Wonderful agent. So thankful, blah, blah, blah. So, it's the best deal. We should be looking to work internally first whenever possible, because the best deal you should ever do should be with a Compass agent. But, it goes back to Sean, we've been harping on now, it sounds like 2 weeks in a row, the importance of listings. And then the conference that you attended, it's really about, we may be on this runway of 2 or 3 years that can give agents on this call a tremendous lift, because that doesn't mean real estate ends in 3 or 4 years.
No.
It'll be different. And what I know, what I've seen in all my years, is that if you can take a solid run like this, if you have 2 years of runway where the velocity is going to be there, and you can build up your inventory, such as you can build up your brand, that whatever is coming after the 3rd year, 4th year, that if equilibrium starts to settle in or markets begin to shift, if you're the agent that this market can help you build, you're going to be fine, right? If you're not, if you don't get there and you don't have a personal brand and you don't have, the type of identity that you need in the market, such that people seek you out, then it's going to be really challenging, because we already see, the constraints on, like we talked about earlier, buyer commission compression, and this buyers are trained with listing agents and all that. So, listen, I guess what you're trying to say, Sean, and I'll take care here, is that listings have never given an agent more leverage than they do today. It's always
every listing brings a buyer with it, minimum.
Yeah.
By the way, one of the things we did talk about because of that, and we talked about this last week, that commission compression, your buyer presentation needs to be off the charts. To the degree that you're going to work with buyers at all, that thing needs to be nailed down, a piece of art about the value add that you personally bring, that Compass brings, that our tools bring. And we're signing buyer broker agreements.
Yeah.
But that's the future right now of working with buyers. Our focus needs to be listings, but of course we work with buyers. That buyer presentation, and we have such great material.
Yeah, you should have a video presentation, whether they do it with you or they do it with me, where we sit down, we can interview the agent. Tell me why someone should work with you as a buyer. Every agent on this call should have a video presentation that's linked to them about what it is that you do that safeguards the interest of that buyer, that helps bring your expertise and knowledge of the marketplace, of what it's like to live in that community. You should have this video queued up. If you don't have it now, you're already late. But you should have something that is directed right to buyers, having this conversation.
That kind of goes to the heart of it. And those of us who've been around for 20 or 30 years, we've seen these cycles in the business. We're moving into one of the most skill-based times in real estate. The people who have the skills, who have the presentations, nowadays they're using video, but what you say matters, and you know how to say it and who to say it to. That's who's going to flourish. And a lot of agents will go out, even though this is going to be probably the best 3 or 4 years we've ever seen. The pie is going to go to fewer and fewer agents.
Yeah,
because it's so skills based.
Yeah.
Hey, Gail has a fun question, I should say.
Yeah.
She said, "Why is the Union Tribune advertising one-page ads for people to become real estate agents?" I'll throw a thought out here.
Yeah,
The hiring of real estate agents, the number of real estate agents is what we call a lagging indicator. As the market gets better and better, more and more people think, well, there's good money in that. I should go try that.
Right.
And of course, in the 3 to 5 years it takes to become truly good, they'll already be moving into the cycle they weren't ready for. The people who are doing great right now have been doing great and doing the right things for a while. So Union Tribune wants to make money. SDAR wants to make money.
Yeah.
Remember if you follow the money, you usually understand why people are doing what they do. This is a tough time to come into real estate, if you ask me. I think people coming in right now, going up against people like you guys, are going to have a real problem. This market is flying, and you better know what you're doing.
Right.
By the way, I had a note. This is according to Google. Google does these studies on, in our case, real estate agents. They ask people, what's the most important thing? The number one thing that they looked for when selecting a real estate agent, 49%, trust. Trust.
That's been at the top of that list forever.
Always. That takes time. Trust takes time.
Yeah.
And that needs to be, like you said, we need to be branding. You need to be branding the hell out of yourselves. You are the local expert somewhere, or you're the niche expert somewhere. That needs to be going out on a daily basis over various social media streams so people know to call you when they have a question about selling
You
their
know,
home.
and I think it's important to take a second here and talk about just how important that is and how your marketing should be around that. Not without you saying you can trust me. That's not what you do. But there are people like I see people on the call here that I know, some I manage, some I don't, that I know personally. And most of the folks that I recognize on this call have what I call a health engendering quality about them, meaning that when you're around them, you feel good. The more time you spend with them, they just have this natural ability to establish trust just by the way they behave, right? And how do you do that? Well, you're a good listener. You're you're an active listener.
Hmm.
Like, you're not just nodding heads. You're actually listening to what people are saying. And you say, can you tell me more about that? You know, tell me, and they focus in on the individual because they obsess about knowing who this person is because they find them interesting. You know, this is one of the qualities that help even the newest of agents, right? If you're brand new, you're talking about, I wouldn't want to be coming in either right now. But if you had that quality, you'd probably succeed because if it is really the person has the ability to establish trust with strangers quickly, that has the upper hand. Now you have to back that up with knowledge, expertise, market knowledge and knowledge of property and communities and all the stuff that goes with being a knowledgeable realtor that helps take trust to another level. But everyone here has this quality. And by the way, not to go backwards, but that's why you should have confidence that you can show up and just be you and be good enough, and then just keep elevating your skill level in terms of how you present, the words you use, the scripts that you're using, dialogues, right? Anyway, I digress, but I just want to give the people a vote of confidence here that as you go after any big goal, know that most of you on this call that I've met have this quality that is unique. It is not common in a lot of folks in real estate. And the folks, you know that, Sean, and so do they, because they've met people that as soon as you meet them, like, I don't want to do a deal with this person. I hope I never meet them again.
When someone who knows what they're doing walks in the room, you know it.
Yeah.
You guys have that already, or you wouldn't be here, right? Yeah. One of the things I love about Compass is who they take on. And you've got these phenomenal tools behind you and the staff behind you. The only thing Compass doesn't provide yet, I heard rumblings last time we heard Robert talk, but the next big step for you guys, how do I get help? If you don't have an admin or a virtual assistant, that needs to happen immediately so that your time can be focused on the thing that you are phenomenal at, which goes back to talking to people. Get the other stuff off your plate because we need to be hyper-focused on the listings, on the people, and on your branding.
Yeah, and collaborating with folks. Right? You know, the 6 a.m.ers, that's a whole, most of the folks on this call partake in that. And you guys have your own cult going over there. You know, I mean, it is like everyone is, it's wonderful to see the success of the 6 a.m.ers. And one of the things that they do is they collaborate with one another. They really do. Here in market, you all should be collaborating the Inside the Huddle team. If you can't afford a personal assistant right now and you could like to share that expense with someone else such that the 2 or 3 of you could go in and find talent and change your life forever, get together here on this call and say, hey, I'm in. Raise your hand. Say, look, I'm looking for that type of support too. And maybe collectively you can take away some of the fears that come with, you know, making a commitment to an employee when you share the expense with 2 or 3, maybe 4 of you, and get that ball going in the right direction. You cannot do, no one succeeds alone, and you're not going to. If you think you can succeed at this business as an individual, when you start to scale, you're flat kidding yourself. You will hit a ceiling and you will not get through it. I promise you. And it's going to come at around in our market, because of our average sales price, it'll show up around $8 million. Like when you're managing $8 million worth of real estate with an average sales price of like 1.2, you're going to have a problem. And you're going to be leaving money on the table. And you don't, how do I know? I just know that that's a truth. So
a lot of experience.
Yeah. I can't tell you how. I don't know why, you know, but
you kind of hit on it. That it's a fear I don't know if I can afford an admin. We all have them. These fears crop up over everything.
Yeah.
And right now, that's the challenge. You've got to you've heard this before, and it sounds cliched, I know, but you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. This is going to be a very lucrative market, but it's going to be very uncomfortable. We're going to have to do more than we've done in the past. But the reward is in 4 years, you have optionality. You do whatever you want.
I have a feeling it's about to light up right now too. I mean, it has been a kind of a steady creep, through the holidays. And I just have a feeling this thing's about to come uncorked again. And we're going to head into just, craziness. I can just feel it. Feel it coming. So yeah, be ready, everybody.
The last one I'll throw out, because I agree. If you really want to have some fun, give yourself a 100 listing appointment challenge for the year. Not just something in your head or something you think about. Get a great big whiteboard, put it on the wall, and write 1 through 100 all over the board. And every time you go on one, you put a line through it. Put it up there so other people can walk by and say, oh, that's crazy. I can't think of a better compliment. I am never more sure I'm on the right path than when people walk by and see me doing something and say, oh, you're crazy. Thank you. Thank you for confirming I'm doing the right thing.
Well, I like crazy people. Because crazy people do crazy things, crazy good things, crazy big things. And maybe what you want to do to your challenge, Sean, is not look at it and say, okay, I just want to do this year, because we always talk about goals and all that. Try to make a commitment. What can you do in the next 6 weeks? Can you commit in the next 6 weeks to taking an action step that's uncomfortable for you, that can change you, that can help you produce a different outcome? Can you commit to the next 6 weeks instead of looking at the 52 weeks you got in front of you, throughout the year? The next 6 weeks, I'm going to go all in, and come hell or high water, I am committed, right, to following through on whatever that initiative is for your business that's related to the goal. If I stop talking for a second, I ask all of you, what's the one goal that at the end of the year, come hell or high water, if you achieve that, your life would be better for it? All of us, I don't mind. It takes a nanosecond for that thought to come to your mind. So then you say, what can I commit to in the next 6 weeks? I can share it with my accountability partner that I, for the next 6 weeks, need your support because I'm going all in here. And I may need your emotional support. I may need your brain knowledge. I might need you to physically have to lift me up at times, right? Because you're feeling down, or you're feeling that you just got to have that push. But let them know, and don't look at accountability and to your point earlier as being a negative thing. One of the best things that could happen to you in your life is to have someone in your life that cares enough about you to help you succeed. It's the greatest gift you'll have in your life, is when that person turns up. Oh, look, that's why I talk so big about my mentors. I know every one of them. 5 people in my life have put me on the course, good, bad, or indifferent, helped me become the person I am. 5. And I'm grateful for that.
Have it. And I love Lisa's comment. They're gonna put the 100 listing challenge, 100 appointment challenge in their office because they have lots of whiteboards.
There you go.
You got to see it in front of you.
Well, yeah.
I do something similar to what you're saying, Steve, that I'll put out there for everybody. I call it a degree a month. It's not really a degree, it'd be more like a class. But if you spend 1 hour a day on something, here's something I'm going to learn about or change. I'm going to start doing TikTok video. By the way, people still laugh at TikTok. The fastest growing segment in any social media is TikTok.
Yep.
And in TikTok, it's, I think, 35, I'm roughing these numbers, 35 to 54-year-old females. The last time I checked, that's who makes every decision. That's who runs the world. So if they're growing in TikTok faster than anywhere else, you might want to be there with your videos because they're the ones making the decisions. Anyway, if you spend an hour a day, pick a subject. This month, all I'm going to do, 1 hour a day is something on this subject. By the end of the month, you'll have a degree in that subject. You'll be good enough to go out and use it. So they're like your 6 week. Pick one thing, just something small that you can get comfortable with. And after a month, you'll be comfortable and then move on to the next one.
Yeah. Well, and know your numbers. That's the last thing. One of the things that I did on Friday, Sean, I was talking to you actually, I think, right? And I told you about the numbers I had up in North County that
yes.
kind of just blew me away. And you want to talk about getting confidence. Even I, as a sales manager, had a different hitch in my giddy up or a different step in my giddy up because, we outsold the nearest competitor by 429 units on North County Coastal Compass. We have 12.8% market share to the nearest competitor that sits right at 5%. The third place competitors at 4.7. But here's the thing that really got me excited. That was in my message to my team was that, do you realize that your average GCI per deal stands at 35,600 and your nearest competitor, which is a blue and white brand signed, it's a darker blue. They have an auction house, that company, they're at 17,000. Per average GCI. So you got, and you have a 429 unit advantage on them. So your body of work is tremendous to average that number. It tells you that if you work at Compass, you're going to have access to a higher end market. Your average price point is going to be higher here. And as a result, your net income can be higher here. And the fact that you have that gap means this, and I'll just shut up. Whenever you have top market share, and my agents that have heard me say this should be able to finish the sentence, all it means is that no one in the marketplace, because buyers and sellers don't care about market share. You think they do, but they don't know what that really means. But what it does mean from your point of view is that you can have more conversations. You can make the statement, I should say, that no one is having more conversations in market with buyers and sellers. If you want to get access to inventory you think is ghosty or private or off market, one thing is true, no one's having more conversations with those folks than Compass agents. That's what the benefit of having top market share gives you. So,
and add one more thing that Liz said perfectly in the comments, the access to the other people in this company, the other agents that are doing things at a high level.
Yeah.
You want to become really good at something? Talk to someone who's already doing it.
Yeah.